are higher, actually, in math than you are in English.
What? You're so you can't do math, and here you got a higher score.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Tables, Ladders, and Chairs podcast. I'm your host, Eric, joined as always by Mike. Mike, how are you tonight?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Last couple weeks, man, my body's been going through the ringer. I know I mentioned to you briefly before we went on. I've got a punctured eardrum for some reason. Never gave me any pain, just all of a sudden felt clogged and hasn't gone away.
Right.
And now I'm battling a sinus infection. So I'm on medication. I am feeling different today. I am ready to go.
There you go. Yeah, because I guess we have a cold in my house. I'm the only one who hasn't gotten it.
Oh, knock on wood.
Denise had it. The kids have it right now. We tested for COVID. None of them came back positive. So I'm assuming it's just a head cold.
Yeah, it's funny. I've been calling it around work. We had one employee who I'm calling Patient Zero, and I nicknamed this cold Orange Death.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
For those of you who know where I work, it would make sense. Yeah.
That it would. It would. Yes.
So let's get into what was a crazy couple of weeks. First of all, NXT No Mercy, what a great show.
Yes.
I looked at our predictions. In fact, I actually sent you my predictions after the show had gone off air, but I did tell you, and I think you could tell by my predictions, I hadn't watched.
Yeah, because let me break out the Oracle. Because when you look at our predictions, we've both got the Braun Strowman prediction wrong.
Or Braun Breaker, yeah.
Right. I mean, Braun Breaker, yeah. Because we both thought Braun was going to win. Baron.
Yeah, it would have made sense, but I kind of dig it that they went that route.
We both thought Butch was going to win, but Noam won.
Right. I always figure, when they do a big tournament to determine a championship contender, that normally means a title change.
Exactly. That's what.
Which, I mean, good for them breaking the norm.
Right. I didn't understand this, especially after Tuesday. Trick Williams defeating Dom. That
was curious.
That was very curious.
Almost felt like a botch, like a miss or something that happened there.
It felt like it. You did win with the family.
Yeah.
At them. I went on a little line side. I thought maybe Umberto and Angel Garza are finally going to do something.
Well, I thought, when I saw your prediction, I thought that'd be a good idea. One, you could have them pin, what was the other?
The other team. Yeah,
one of the other teams, and have them. So therefore, you could take the belts off the family without making them look weaker.
Exactly. So I thought maybe they might do that. Mm-hmm. We both predicted Dragunov.
Yes, we did. I was surprised when I saw. Well, I wasn't surprised because I know how much of a fan you are of Ilya Dragunov.
Correct. Yeah.
And I just felt like it was time.
And then you predicted Tiffany.
Yeah.
I predicted Becky. I kind of just was hoping Jade would interfere to cost Becky the title because they hyped her up so much, but
yeah, I was a little surprised by that. I like the idea of Becky going back to NXT to basically build up the other women. I think it's going to be a really good thing.
Yeah, and then the other thing, I'm wondering if they're waiting to debut Jade maybe against her old promotion on Tuesday night.
Oh, I wouldn't be surprised by that at all. I think that'd be great.
Really wouldn't, because let's face it, we're having a bonkers night next Tuesday.
Yeah, it's funny, man. Tuesday night's going to be the hot night of wrestling. My remote's going to get a workout. It's going to think it's 1999 again.
Right. I mean, I can't believe John Cena, Roman Reigns, Cody, Asuka, They're throwing the gauntlet down for next week.
Yeah, man, how would you like to just be a tourist that like just happened to be going through Tampa next week and be like, oh, you know what I'd love to do? I'd love to go to the taping of NXT
And then have all these people there.
and have all that stuff happen. That'd be incredible.
It would be.
You on?
Yes, I'm on.
Like on.
Yes.
Hi, Denise.
Hey.
Hey, Sean.
One would not know he's sick right now.
He's all wired up with medicine.
Exactly. Yeah, he gets
Yeah.
wired, and then he just got his PSSA score. So
And he always tells us he struggles with math. Well, this PSSA says otherwise.
right, he's
Well, hey, there you go.
proficient.
That means you conquered it there, Sean. Good job, buddy.
Exactly.
Ow!
So
Yeah, it's gonna be quite the night next Tuesday. I wanted to touch on this because, man, like it feels like, and I know that like TNA did their attempt to relaunch the Monday Night Wars, and that was a total botch.
we could spend an episode talking about how bad that was one time.
We really could.
We really could. That
In
would.
fact, I feel like we should put a pin in that and come back to that idea.
I can write it because I have my top 50 rivalries written out. I could.
Oh,
Write
nice. Yeah. I actually just concluded mine as well.
Okay.
About an hour before we came on the air.
Well, that's good. That's good.
So let's see what they've announced so far for NXT next week. Carmelo Hayes he's challenging or who's he or facing Braun Breaker next?
He's facing Braun Breaker
In the rematch of the youngest WrestleMania of all time, main event of all time,
Right.
of WrestleMania weekend.
of WrestleMania weekend, and we're gonna have the Tribal Chief with Braun Breaker
Yeah.
and John Cena with Carmelo Hayes.
Now, I wonder if they're trying to build up, and I really don't want to see John Cena challenge Roman Reigns again. Like, I feel like we've already seen that, and we already know how that story ends.
You know what, though?
Yeah.
It would be the way to end the reign.
You know, that would be something. John Cena gets his number 17
Think about it.
by beating Roman Reigns.
That might be the way to end it. Everyone, including us, are saying Cody at WrestleMania, Cody at WrestleMania.
What if it say Cena at Survivor Series?
What happens if it's 17 in Survivor Series?
I mean, I think that'd be a big deal. And then you could just have John Cena keep the belt until WrestleMania, face Cody Rhodes in the main event. You could have Roman Reigns versus The Rock in a non-championship match. It would make a ton of sense.
It really would.
Yeah, you know what? I'd be in favor of it.
We're booking something here. We're booking.
Yeah, I think we got some magic going here.
I think we do.
Yeah, like, and it's funny. I really expected when John Cena was saying he was going to fight the Bloodline by himself and he was getting beaten down. I was fully expecting to hear The Rock's music and The Rock to come out to team with John Cena.
Yeah. Yeah,
I like LA Knight in that spot, but I would have loved The Rock in that spot.
see, I thought it was going to be I hear voices in my head pop up.
That would have been good too.
And I thought we were going to get the return of Randall Keith Orton, but maybe things are as bad as they're saying with him.
It's a real shame if they are, because I know, like, Randy, you know, when I watch some of the documentaries and stuff, Randy's really opened up a lot about, like, you know, his mental health issues.
Yeah.
And, you know, struggling with depression as a child and as a young adult.
Yeah.
And, man, it'd be really great for him to have that great feel-good moment, because you can just tell, like, I'm sure he's got plenty of money. You know, he's got Cowboy Bob Orton money.
Yeah.
He's got his own money.
Right.
You know, he ain't hurting.
No.
If he wanted to walk away, he could just walk away.
And the thing is, he's also got Bob Orton Sr. money, too.
Right.
Because, I mean, he was a huge draw.
Absolutely.
Way back in his day. So, you know, he had some money. then Bob Jr. had it, and now
Right. Yeah, it because you can just tell he loves it. Like he loves performing. He found what he's good at. He found his life's work.
yeah, he did.
And and God bless him. I'm really happy for him. You can just tell he exudes, even when he doesn't want to. He shows you how happy he is in the ring.
Exactly.
So okay, let's. Speaking of another guy who just shows you how happy he is in the ring, WrestleDream on Sunday. We had the AEW debut of one Adam Copeland.
Yes.
And look, everybody, look, it's a free market. You're free to go and fly your craft wherever you want.
Right.
To me, I'll always see him as Edge, and I'll see him as WWE's Edge.
Exactly. Did you watch WrestleDream?
I did not.
Okay. All right. I think I texted you during it.
Yeah.
And the moment that it was Christian against Darby Allin was the main event, it was just like, okay, he is here.
Yeah.
That's what they're going to close with. And it just, I don't know what to make of it yet. It's taken me a little while to sink in because I've really it's always been Edge.
Right.
And I'm kind of surprised with how well WWE has treated him over all the years.
Yeah.
That he went to AEW. But of course, I mean, it's the what if questions now.
Sure.
Hold on a second. Let me close this up a little bit.
Well, when you say that, I'll just bring up, I've heard a lot of what Bruce Richards had to say. Like I've talked about, I've listened to a lot of his podcasts over the last few weeks. And one of his stances is that Vince McMahon stands by that he doesn't want unhappy campers.
Right.
Like if you'd rather go somewhere else, he will give you the blessing to go work somewhere else.
Yep.
And like Chris Jericho was not under contract with WWE, yet still felt the need to call Vince McMahon and basically ask for permission and for his blessing to go work at the Tokyo Dome against Kenny Omega.
Yeah.
And, obviously he received that blessing.
Yep.
And there's like, I could see it being an example of Adam would have given Vince the heads up.
Yeah.
And he would have called him like, look, like, you're talking with the family. Like, I don't know if you saw Dynamite last night.
Not yet.
I don't think I'm breaking anything when I say, Adam Copeland's out there last and he talks about his decision to come to AEW.
Right.
And he asked his kids, and I think it was Ruby, he said to him, why don't you just go have fun with Uncle Jay?
I did see that as a quote a while on Sunday or Monday.
Yeah.
That was a quote on a meme for Facebook.
And so when that happened, like when he said that, it immediately made sense to me.
Right.
Okay, like this is just he wants to end his career having fun with his old buddy.
Right. And it looks like he's going to have a feud with an old buddy.
Yeah.
Which I guess makes sense.
Which, I mean, I guess that's what guys do. Like, you're working together. And so, yeah, obviously you're working against each other. But you can, a lot of times the best rivals in real life are great friends.
Yeah. Like Cena and Orton.
Which, right. Like those two are very close friends. And I think that is a smooth transition into our top 50 rivalries. Anybody who's watched our show, we had, I think, a very special list when we did our 100 favorite matches. I think this list is going to be just as fun.
This list was different for me.
Yeah.
Because I did it a whole other format, and I didn't go 1 to 50.
Okay.
in exact order. What I did was I did 1 to 10.
Okay.
Like the 10, like my top 10 is the only thing really ranked out.
Okay.
In accordance to
What your preference would be.
my preference. Because after that, then I started because I felt that the matches was too much of the WWE, ECW, WCW, threw a little bit of Japan in.
Sure.
So
yeah, I had a sprinkle of New Japan. I had a sprinkle of TNA.
Right. So
yeah,
this one I've went completely against the grain.
Okay.
In a way in which I'm going to explain it on the first episode. I wrote down, actually it was my top 8 is pretty much where I go from top 10. And then what I did was I wanted to make sure I highlighted everything.
Mm-hmm.
So I wrote ECW and I put 5 rivalries. I put WCW 5 rivalries. Then I did WWF 80s, 90s, 2000s 5 rivalries each.
Okay.
Let's see here. New Japan. I have 5 rivalries. So that's kind of how I did this. And then I don't think I put any Impact in. I did an AEW ROH 5 rivalries mixed in with those companies' histories. And then I did an AWA has the 5 solid rivalries in this list.
That's awesome.
And then the last group was I kind of had to lump in World Class and Memphis together. So So that's where it's going to be a little bit different. So
well, I will let you start wherever you would like then.
All right. Well, I do have them ranked. So I'll just start with number 50. I did Antonio Inoki. Figured I had to put him in one.
Yeah.
I was trying to think one of his biggest rivals, and I just went with literally one of his biggest rivals, Vader.
Yeah. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. Vader is one of my, I really feel like, very underappreciated guys throughout history.
Yes.
Because if you're just a WWE fan, you have no idea how incredible Vader was and how dominant he was in WCW and in Japan.
Exactly. I mean, he lost his eye in a match and he went on and wrestled.
Well, my number 50 is one closer to home. It's really a very storied rivalry. I probably could have ranked it a little higher, but I just wanted it at 50 because, look, like you said, when you're talking about the 50 greatest rivalries, like I don't think you're going to disrespect any of them by where you rank them. So I just went Trish and Lita as number 50. Okay. I loved their back and forth. Each of them, they worked both as baby faces, as heels against each other.
Yeah.
Like, they could both work either side. It's just such great chemistry between the two.
Fantastic, yeah.
All right, number 49 then.
All right, here comes the first one out of left field.
Okay.
Eric Embry versus P.Y. Chuhai.
Okay. I'm going to be honest. Don't really know the names very well.
Okay.
Well, I'll need you to paint the picture for me.
So the picture goes back to very late 80s. Eric Embry was wrestling for World Class, and this is right when Jerry Jarrett buys World Class. He buys that. And so they use Jerry, dear friend of the Jarrett family, Tojo Yamamoto, who was already a heel. I think he was down in Dallas by this point. They were using him as the build-up, and he had this big Asian wrestler, P.Y. Chuhai.
Okay.
The reason why this rivalry makes the moment for me This was when they ripped the world class banner down in the Sportatorium.
Oh, wow.
Eric Embry's the guy who went through the fans. He pinned P.Y. Chuhai in the cage. The way that they were building this up was Embry was fighting for the company. Yamamoto owned the company, and he was going to keep it the way it is. Embry's saying, no. We've got to – there's a new change. There's new faces in this company. So Embry's the one who pins Chuhai. He goes up through the stands, rips down the world-class banner, and that's when it becomes the USWA.
Oh, wow.
So that is why
that is a very historic moment. Yeah,
that's why this makes my 50.
Okay.
So.
Okay. So my 49th is Macho Man Randy Savage and Hulk Hogan.
Okay, very good. That I think will make it on my list a little bit.
Yeah, that was just one and you could apply that, and there's a number of these that I feel like, they
balance game.
Yeah, so they start off in WWE, obviously the Mega Powers, and then the Mega Powers explode the next year.
Well, and it goes back even before that.
Right.
When Savage had the Intercontinental title and Hogan had the main title, they were having a feud.
Right. I actually had forgotten about that, but yes, that also, that's really the origins of it.
Yeah.
And man, that whole year-long story they told of Macho and Hogan and Elizabeth, that was special.
It was.
But then also, what they did in WCW, their rivalry there, that was special. They were able to have this great story, then basically hit pause on it and wait several years, and then just come right back and pick up like they never left.
Exactly.
Okay, 48.
48. One very close to home. Tommy Dreamer against the Sandman.
Ooh, okay. Love that rivalry. I love the when Tommy lost the caning match. That was uncomfortable. And
as someone who was in the ECW arena that day, that was filmed on a Sunday. It was filmed the Sunday after Douglas dropped the title.
Right. I remember that.
So my dad and I go to church, and then he decides to be a good father because the Sandman was a member of my swim club, and he said, if you want to go Sunday, I could get you in. Just say you know me. So we drive down. We have no idea what happened Saturday. People are telling us as we're sitting there. And,
about Douglas dropping the belt. I was at the one where Douglas dropped the belt the night before,
So I got to watch Hardcore TV Tuesday to see what exactly happened. Without the luxury of the internet back then. And then we're sitting there, and my dad, Army vet and vice president of an insurance company at this time.
Yeah.
He's hearing the smacks against the back, and he goes, this is just brutal. And it was one of those times that I will never forget, sitting at a wrestling event and actually being there for that match.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So my number 48 is Moose versus Josh Alexander. I had to have a Josh Alexander rivalry on there.
I knew you had to.
I just enjoyed that whole story, one of Moose winning the what did they call that battle royal to get a championship match? Whatever.
Oh, the call your shot.
The call your shot, yeah. And he cashes in that night and beats Alexander. It was fantastic.
It was.
And then the whole build for the next, almost year, they had that build for that match, for their rematch at, was it Rebellion, right?
Yes. Yeah.
All right. Number 47.
47. FTR against the Briscoe brothers.
I can't go on with that. That is definitely on my list.
Yes, I figured it would be.
Yeah. Well, my 47 is we're staying in the Impact Zone. Sammy Callahan versus Eddie Edwards.
Okay.
Dude, at one point, I really thought, like, I know, hey, look, this is, everybody hates to use the term, and I hate to use the term, but this is fake. This is a work.
Oh
But
yeah.
at one point, I'm like, dude, like, Eddie Edwards might really be trying to kill that dude.
Yeah, they really blurred the lines in that rivalry.
Yeah. Between Callahan really hitting him with that bat, and it was a slip. He didn't mean to actually,
Hit him that. Right.
injure Eddie Edwards, but they said, "Screw it, you did it. Let's work with it."
Yeah,
And it was great.
it was.
Okay, 46.
46. Going back to the WCW days, Booker T versus Chris Benoit.
Great rivalry. Absolutely loved it. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that has to be on the list somewhere. Yeah.
Well, I'm also in WCW as I have the Outsiders versus the Steiners.
Very nice rivalry.
I really enjoyed their matches. Really felt slighted at Super Brawl when Scott Steiner mid-match turns on Rick and basically throws out the tag team titles. I would have preferred, if you were going to do that turn, I was fine with it, but like, how about after the match?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, have the Steiners lose in some kind of chicanery.
Right.
And then, Rick and Sky look at each other dumbfounded, and then Scott just pops them.
Pops them, yeah. Instead of just doing it mid-match and have him walk with DiBiase with the money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hated that part.
Yeah.
All right, 45.
45. 45, I have Undertaker and Brock Lesnar.
Okay, that's another rivalry that's on my list.
Yeah. I figured that one would be. I was sitting there trying to. I have a couple Undertaker rivalries. There's going to be another one on this episode coming up. I think because he had such a legendary career.
Yeah.
So I tried. I was sitting there and just like, oh, where do I stack them and where do I put them? And yeah, I mean, him and Brock, the streak ending, even before that, the Hell in the Cell at the.
I love that match. Yeah.
In 2002. I mean, they had such a parallels in their career and such a rivalry throughout different time frames.
Right. And you could tell it was all just built on respect.
Yeah.
Undertaker had a great deal of respect for Brock Lesnar, and Brock Lesnar vice versa for Undertaker.
Yep.
Well, my 45th rivalry is going to be one that kind of hits close to home. It's a family rivalry, Bret Hart versus Owen Hart.
Another one that will be on my list as well.
Nice.
Yeah, that's on my list as well. Just
as someone who, again, I was a younger brother, used to my big sister picking on me.
Right.
So I definitely identified a lot with Owen.
Right, you do. With this.
Yes. And some might also call me a nugget, but
right, exactly.
All right, 44.
44. We're going back to the mid 80s on this one.
All right, it's a happier time.
Intercontinental title feud between Greg Valentine and Tito Santana.
Oh, that was fantastic. I still thought that should have been the match at WrestleMania.
Don't get me started on that. You've done that once, and that
that may have been my intention, but
it definitely was when you speak about this rivalry, how it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, that rivalry definitely should have been on the first WrestleMania.
I think
it's one of the great travesties.
I love JYD, but it didn't make sense.
My 44th rivalry is one, again, as a kid, I was 13 years old when this rivalry really started. Absolutely, from start to finish, loved it. Jerry Lawler did such great heel work at this time, working with Bret the Hitman Hart.
Yes.
I absolutely loved it.
I did love that feud. It doesn't make my list because Spoiler alert, you're going to hear Jerry Lawler's name a few times on my list. But
and it's funny, it's saying that, it just occurred to me, one that I kept saying to myself I wanted to include somewhere on the list. I put together the whole list and I haven't included it. So I'm going to give it honorable mention right now and just say Jerry Lawler, Andy Kaufman. Like that, talk about, dude kept selling the rivalry even after Andy Kaufman died. Like, that's how committed he was to it.
yes, that will be on my list, as you probably could assume. When I said Lawler makes an appearance quite often, again, because he's so into Memphis,
Right?
And when you're talking about Memphis wrestling, and it's him, really.
Yeah.
All those years. So now he makes quite a few appearances.
Well, I can't wait to see him. 43 for you.
43. This one is this one was kind of a weird one because I didn't know I could have encompassed more into it. I have the Road Warriors against the Russians.
Okay.
Because it could also be the Road Warriors and Dusty against the Russians because they have those 6-man feuds. And I wanted to get the Road Warriors on the list.
They deserve to be on the list. Yeah.
They deserve to be on the list. And I'm trying to think, like, they never really had a standout feud. Georgia, they didn't. So to me, it was Midnight or the Russians were really the two.
Yeah.
Or the Horsemen you could have had. So
yeah, of those choices, I think I would have also gone with the Russians too.
Yeah. So
all right. My 43rd is one. They're a tag team now. I love them feuding. I love them teaming. Whenever they are together in the same ring, I absolutely eat it up. Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens.
yes. Makes perfect sense.
Yeah, whatever they do in any promotion, anywhere around the world, I can't get enough of it.
It's like peanut butter and jelly.
Yeah.
It just goes well together, those two.
Yeah, it really does.
They really do.
All right, number 42.
Now, this I have a hunch is going to be way up on your list.
Okay.
Undertaker Mankind.
It will make an appearance. It won't make that appearance tonight.
Right.
Yes, you are correct, sir.
Yeah, I figured that's going to be one high up on your list. But all the things...
we can just table really discussing that rivalry until I bring it up. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
So where are we at? Okay, 42. I have one. I have a feeling this is going to be on your list. CM Punk, Samoa Joe.
That is on my list.
I figured it might. Yeah. That was such a great rivalry back in Ring of Honor.
And especially when I said how I broke up like the AEW Ring of Honor. Yeah, it's on there.
I figured. Yeah.
Yes.
All right. 40, where are we at? 41.
41, here we go. It wasn't as good in the WWF, but in the AWA, the Midnight Rockers against Bad Company.
Yeah.
I think when they got to WWF and they needed to put a mask on Paul Diamond to make him a member of the Orient Express.
Yeah.
It lost its luster, but in the AWA, that feud was so great, those two teams going after each other week after week. And then that happened. So,
yeah, I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
So before I get to 41 on my list, did you want to do 20 this week? Or did you want to just do 10 to start us off?
I could do whatever.
All right, you know what? Let's just do 10 to start us off, and then we can next week we'll do the next 10.
Or we could do like 15 a week.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, that's a good compromise. We'll do 15.
Yeah, we'll make it up to what, 35?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll cover 50.
Well, yeah, we'll do 36. We'll leave 35 starting the next week.
Okay.
All right.
That works.
So then my 41st is, well, it was a big part of WrestleMania 1. It had some matches at Starrcade. Hulk Hogan and Roddy Piper. I loved that rivalry. And as a kid, to me, like, even when I didn't know anything about wrestling, I knew Hogan and Piper were rivals.
Right. This is on my list, obviously. Yeah. Very, 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 very high up there because of the impact it had.
Yeah, I'd say it made a generation of wrestling fans.
Yeah, and I don't know if you, because I know you're wrapped up into the world of Bruce Pritchard.
Yes.
One person who I listen to, especially his bits on YouTube for his podcast, is Jim Cornette.
God damn.
And they had Cornette recently, a while ago. I think I've talked about it. They had him say who could have replaced Hulk Hogan.
Mm-hmm.
And many people, and Vince McMahon has even said this, if you didn't get Hulk Hogan, it would have been Dusty Rhodes.
Yeah, that would make sense.
It would have made sense. They recently asked Jim Cornette who could have replaced Piper. And this is a new clip. Within the week, they were talking about it. He couldn't come up with a name.
Yeah.
That's how valuable Piper was in that feud. And you couldn't find a heel with the total package. Like, they came out with maybe Michael Hayes, but with the work rate, Hayes couldn't do it, so Hayes would have to be the manager, and Terry Gordy would have had to be in the ring.
Right, and that'd have been tough for Terry Gordy.
Right, and as good as Gordy was in the ring, so it.
Yeah, could he have? Because I mean, Hogan needed somebody to kind of keep him on track too.
Right. Yeah,
and Piper could do that. Yeah.
Right, and I mean, Dr. D just got fired with the whole Stossel thing, so because Dr. D was really the original feud for Hogan because they worked so well in
the whole John Stossel thing.
Yeah. So,
which can I just say, if I were Dr. D, I'd have slapped the piss out of that asshole too.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, number 40 is it when you just did the?
No, that was you.
Oh, I did 40.
You did Hogan and Piper.
Oh, I did Hogan and Piper. Okay, number 40 for you. Okay,
40 for me.
Yeah.
Another one of these rivalries that lasted forever. Mm-hmm. Friends, partners. I mean, friends, opponents, partners, whole thing. Jerry Lawler and Bill Dundee.
Great rivalry. Yes, loved it. I love everything that Bill Dundee and Jerry Lawler ever did.
Yeah, and I mean they were even rivals in booking philosophy. They had to rotate the Memphis book between the two of them.
Gotta love that.
Yeah.
Well, my 40th, I say when I do these lists, I put no restrictions, no rules. You can come up with it any way you want. So I decided to do, with my 40th rivalry, NWO versus WCW. Just the entire battle between the two sides.
Very true. That does make with the honorable mention.
Yeah.
One I was considering putting on, but I couldn't because there was no in-ring action, was WCW WWF, the Monday Night War.
Yeah. I mean, I suppose you could have argued that the DX invasion.
Yeah, but seriously, and I forgot to mention that as my honorable mention because I wasn't going to put that in because there's no facet.
Right.
And I kind of lumped this whole rivalry into, when we get up on the list, I kind of lumped it into a 2-for-1 rivalry because I really had 51, but I made this and Sting and Hogan like intertwine on my list. So,
all right, then number 39.
39. Going back to that bingo hall.
Love that bingo hall.
The Dudleys against the Eliminators.
Oh, very nice rivalry.
Yeah. I was trying to think like Dudleys.
Yeah.
And with the Road Warrior aspect, I wanted to highlight the Dudleys in ECW. So I'm sitting there at Dudley's Gangsters and Dudley's. And I was thinking maybe Public Enemy, but really Public Enemy and Gangsters are more against each other.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, wait, Eliminators makes.
I almost feel like the Dudleys and Dreamer and insert your partners, like that would have been a good one too.
Yeah, the Dudleys against Dreamer and Sandman. I mean, they even put that in one of the one-night stands too.
They did, yeah. And I mean, going back to, what was it, Heat Wave that they did? All three members of the Dudleys against Tommy, Sandman, and Spike. It was Bubba, Devon, and Big Dick against.
Right.
Yeah.
They did so much.
They really did. The Dudleys were incredible.
They were.
All right, so that was okay. My 39 is Deonna Purrazzo and Jordan Grace.
Very nice.
I really enjoyed that rivalry.
That was a great rivalry.
In a lot of ways, it may still be going on.
Yeah. Yeah, because I think Grace re-signed with Impact.
Yeah.
So we might be continuing on this rivalry.
All right, 38.
38. Classic old guard versus new guard feud. Nick Bockwinkel against Kurt Hennig.
It's funny you say that. I had that on my list, and I forget why I took it. I think I may have replaced it with the NWO WCW.
Okay.
But yeah, love that rivalry.
Yeah, and again, with me doing the whole like trying to balance out the list.
Yeah.
Nick Bockwinkel's going to appear multiple times on this.
As he should.
As he should, yeah. Such a fantastic performer.
He was such a great heel, too. Like, he had that way of insulting you, but, like...
And just the smugness and...
Yeah.
Like, he knew he was better than most people and just knew how to...
Wait to rub your nose in it, and I absolutely loved it.
Right, and then at the tail end when they were trying to have him be a face because he was such a star for so many years.
Yeah.
And people just grew to love him. I mean, him against Hanson, I love both of them as performers, but it just didn't work out for me.
Yeah.
That rivalry.
So number 38 for me, John Cena and Edge.
Okay.
I love them working together.
Yes.
From the Money in the Bank cash in to their TLC match in Toronto. Just awesome.
Everything great.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. 37.
37. This is a rivalry that I think when we go back, when we go forward 20 years, people still talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
New Day Usos.
Agree. In fact, that is also on my list.
Yeah.
Yeah. My 37 is another one I think people are going to be talking about for years to come. FTR and the Young Bucks. I absolutely have loved their matches. That's on your list too, isn't it? Or is that next?
It's next, 36. So
all right. Their minds think alike.
There you go. Didn't even have to go back and forth. Nah, just a fantastic, classic rivalry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed. All right. 36 for me. Another classic. It's basically when I look up the term rivalries, like these two teams should be looking right at each other. Like in football, we've got the Eagles and the Cowboys. In hockey, the Flyers and the Penguins. In pro wrestling, and especially in the 80s, in tag team wrestling, you had the Rock and Roll Express and the Midnight Express.
Yes. Yes.
And that's why when you said you wanted to go up to 35, I thought, ooh, let's end it at 36 because that's a great rivalry for me to end off on.
It really is. It really is. That will be my top 5.
Yeah.
Because
And to me, and again, like I said, I just started jotting down rivalries and I figured I'll just sort them out. And I started to realize, you know what? If you're on the list, you're special. Like, you know.
exactly. That's the way I look at it. I mean, because it's kind of funny. Let's see here. When I'm looking at this list, 4, 5, 6 are all tag teams when I'm looking at it.
Yeah. Well, so many tag teams make great rivalries. I just love tag team rivalries.
Right. And, well, another one that I could really talk about for a long time. I didn't know how to do it, so I just put it, and it will make an appearance. The brothers of Terry and Dory against Jack and Jerry.
Yeah.
Because really, you had the whole Jack Briscoe, Dory Funk, 69 to 73. That was the gold standard for the NWA World Title.
Right.
That was the Flair Steamboat of that age, and it was. I didn't know how to lump it in, but then I figured because I was either going to do Dory against Jack, but then I thought, then when they brought Terry and they brought Jerry in, it made such a huge impact. So
I agree. Like, man, so many of these rivalries, just the little nuances, the little things that every character involved brought to the table.
Yeah.
Like, you know, something tells me as we wrap up this list, you know, there'll be some other teams that we talk about, like, you know, Von Erichs and Freebirds. I imagine they'll be on our list. I know they're on mine.
See, the Von Erichs make it twice.
Yeah.
For me. Of course, the Von Erichs Freebirds, I don't think anything gets as fine as that. That's really, that's in that 4, 5, 6 range as I'm talking about tag team rivalries. It's one of those 3. So, but then I also had to put, after David passed, I had to put Kerry and Kevin against Gino Hernandez and Chris Adams.
Yeah. Oh, no, it's fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, because with me going back into the territories a lot in this list, there's going to be a lot of those. The Von Erichs, Brody's on my list a few times.
Nice.
And yeah,
yeah, it's funny, you know, like. Certain areas, like you just think about, like they would take 2 guys and just say, okay, we're going to build a whole card around this rivalry.
Yep.
And so, like, that rivalry naturally will become ingrained in any fan's mind.
Yeah.
So it makes sense why, when you're digging back for the greatest rivalries, like a rivalry from, you know, the territories would immediately come to mind.
Yeah.
Because it was. Like, they'd go throughout the territory, every building that they worked.
Yeah.
It was those 2 guys working against each other.
It was the Freebirds and the Von Erichs for over a year, 2 years.
I mean, and I wouldn't call it lazy booking, but it had to be something where it's like, okay, what are we going to do this week, guys?
Right.
We do every week.
Right.
Freebirds, Von Erichs.
And the thing is, while we're talking about that, the different nuances they were able to do with, because they could have a 1-on-1, or they could do 3 1-on-1s. They
Right.
can have the 6-man. They can have a tag and a single. Then,
And it never felt repetitive.
and it never felt repetitive. Then they started saying, okay, Jimmy Garvin, throw him in. And
Right.
Garvin won against David for a while. And then they needed someone to even up the numbers. So they brought Iceman King Parsons, who was a friend of the Von Erichs.
Right.
They had some 8-man tags. The Freebird hair removal cream that was just absolutely hilarious. Having Buddy Roberts wear the toupee with the headgear forever.
That was hilarious.
Yeah. Yeah, I know.
Which I loved when Kurt Angle did that in
Yeah.
WWE.
In homage. Yeah, when he did that. No, but that was just something when you had such a smaller roster. You
Right.
had to do that sort of stuff and figure out, okay. And then you had a rivalry that will be on my list that literally promoters would bring in for 6 weeks to hotshot their territory, and then they'd go do it somewhere else. Would be Brody and Abdullah.
Yeah. I mean, Brody and Abdullah, that was another rivalry. I kept thinking, I'm like, I want to include that somewhere on my list. And I guess when I just was writing everything out, I never did. But that's another one that
Right. I mean, you
belongs on every list.
You look at it, they are doing it in Puerto Rico
Right.
and all of Japan and World Class all at the same time.
Yeah.
And then sometimes they would be in San Antonio for the Blanchards and try to hotshot them every so often. They were, I think, in Central States, they were doing it because I heard an interview from Slick a little while ago saying they wanted to bring Brody in with Slick as his manager in WWF.
I heard that. Yeah.
But that never went through because he was working with Brody in Kansas City at the time. If that would have happened, we still might have Frank Goodish on this planet. And just, we could have had so much more with him.
Yeah. We really should have had so much more.
Yeah.
God, you talked about some of the stuff we could do an entire episode on. We could do an entire episode on wrestlers gone too soon.
We really could. We really could.
Like, and I mean, even if we just limited to guys who like died while they were still active competitors,
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah, we could do a whole episode on that. One of the episodes I really think we should do is gimmicks that wouldn't age well in 2023.
Oh, that sounds like fun. We should do that.
I think we should. I think
we should definitely do that. Of course, one of the ones that pops right out at me is, and no pun intended, Goldust.
Yes.
That is one that how cancel culture has not gotten a hold of that.
Yeah, that would
not to give many ideas.
I mean, going Akeem, that's one. Another one that cancel culture would have a field day with right now, I think, would have been the $1 Million Man and Virgil.
Oh, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, how about Roddy Piper and Bad News Brown in Toronto? I know they've already gotten a hold of that, because I can't find it on the Peacock.
No, they've scrubbed that match.
Yeah.
Another thing that are some of the one-liners that Jesse Ventura.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Like when you look at the original WrestleMania 3 broadcast, he whipped out the B line and it went through. But in the beginning of the pandemic, I've noticed, it made it on the videotapes, but then they stopped it after that. I think the DVDs is when they scrubbed out the McMahon. The B stands for buckwheat, and he's got a brother.
Oh, right? Yes. Coco Beware. Yeah, the B stands for buckwheat. Yeah.
They scrubbed that out, and then he went on, and he's got a brother Steiny who wears a derby.
Ooh.
And Vince, no, he doesn't, Jess. Yes, he does. Vince,
You don't know.
No, well, it was Gorilla because it was WrestleMania.
Yeah, it was Gorilla. Yeah.
Gorilla, and that was one that I've noticed over the years has that line. You've got a little bit of pause, like 10 seconds in the audio because of that.
It's like, okay, because they want to make sure that doesn't. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, just little nuances that have happened.
Oh, we could certainly have a lot of fun with that idea.
Yeah.
Thank you to our fans who checked in. I don't know where you see these gentlemen at, but wherever they are, tell them we said hello.
Yes, please. Yes.
And hello, Benedict. Is it? Yeah, Benedict Nancy.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
thank you for chiming in.
yes, thank you, good people, for chiming in and enjoying another one of the fantastic TLC episodes that we put on.
This has been a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it, even though I wasn't feeling the best. I gotta say, before we get at, I've watched a lot of Monday Night Raw. Has certainly seemed very rinse and repeat. Like this whole Judgment Day versus Cody, and I can already see the look on your face. You can't stand it any more than I can. It's gotten to the point where I don't even really want to watch Monday Night Raw.
Oh, it's getting vicious. It's just, I wanted to send you a meme I saw on one of these wrestling groups on Facebook. It was different faces of Vince McMahon, and it was like his his happy face, like that he would do it contract signings. And one of them was like NXT No Mercy card, like he was Then WrestleDream, he had a better face, but his face was beaming with excitement, and it was literally every main event the past 2 months on Raw with Judgment Day mixed in, no matter what it is.
Yeah.
Like, okay, we've gotten this. You guys like the Judgment Day. You think they're going to be a heel group to deal with.
And the thing is, I think they're a good heel group, and they could be awesome. But, what you're doing with them doesn't work.
It doesn't. It's like, okay, how many times can we see the Judgment Day against a combination of Jey Uso, Cody Rhodes, Kevin Owens, and Sami Zayn and say, enough already? Enough, damn it. Like, we've seen this. Stop it.
Yeah, I'm sick of it. I know you're sick of it. Again, it's gotten to the point where when they start off with that on Monday Night Raw, like when I hear Judgment Day, Cody Rhodes, or Sammy and Kevin, when I hear any group of them, start off the show, I immediately change the channel.
It's just, at least Cody, you could get some excitement at the interview, but then it's like, okay, we know what's going to happen eventually.
We know Judgment Day is going to interrupt. We know it's going to turn into Cody versus one of the members of the Judgment Day.
Right.
Or maybe Cody and Jey Uso in a tag team match against the Judgment Day, which, hey, check that out on Saturday night.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Oh, we need to do our Fastlane predictions.
Oh, yeah. Let's real quick. Let's run through our Fastlane predictions.
How can we have forgotten about another PLE coming up? Hold on a second.
All right.
So I got a 3-point lead now, 77-70.
Yeah, all of a sudden you're the one pulling away here.
Oh, yeah, we're 3-point lead. All you need is a main event, correct? And we're tied again.
Yeah.
All right, let's see here. Fastlane 2023. What do we have here? Well, we only got 5 matches to predict so far, so.
Okay.
All right. Rollins against Nakamura in the last man standing.
I just want to go. I want to go wild and crazy here. I want to say, Rollins retains, but do I give bonus points if I call like a double count out, like neither one answers?
Yeah, you can.
All right, I'll say neither one answers the 10 count, and we finally get. I'm gonna keep predicting this until I'm right. Damn it! Damian Priest cashes in Money in the Bank and wins the world title.
Okay, so you're going Rollins and Priest cash in.
Yes.
Oh, come on. This is a brand new pen. Why is it giving me headaches? Hold on a second.
Well, yeah, we haven't had any other issues tonight, so we had to have something.
Right. All right. I guess I have to resort to one of Sean's pencils, unless I have something in my pocket, which I don't. Okay. All right. So you're going Rollins with a Priest cash in. You're going to continuously call this, I think.
I am. Until we finally have it. Yes.
I'm wondering, since you've already called it 4 times, if it should count.
It probably shouldn't.
It probably shouldn't, because you've literally called this at
The last 3 pay-per-view.
the last 3 pay-per-views.
Yeah.
Yes. You know what? I'm going to go absolutely wild and crazy on this.
Okay.
I think we might finally get a Shinsuke Nakamura World Championship title reign in WWE.
I'd be in favor of it.
And I would be a very happy camper if this happens.
Well, yeah, because once again, we don't have the Damian Priest cash in,
And yes. So I'm going to say.
Maybe I might actually stop calling it every month.
Right. So I'm going to say Nakamura.
Okay.
Now, this might be the main event. Either that match or this, I think, is the main event. The LA Knight, John Cena against the Bloodline.
I think that's probably your main event.
I
It's
think
a tag match. Yeah.
Yeah.
And to me, this seems obvious, but the obvious answer is sometimes the right answer.
Right.
Cena and LA Knight.
Yeah, that's who I'm going with as well. Yeah, I just think everyone's talking about War Games like being Judgment Day and the Bloodline teaming up. I think we might have Cena and Roman at Survivor Series.
It would make sense.
It would make some sense. Now, the next match is the women's triple threat match.
So how many title reigns does Charlotte have now? Is it 14?
I think.
Okay. I feel like, I heard someone one time say rooting for the Yankees is like rooting for the House of Blackjack. I feel like rooting for Charlotte is like rooting for the House of Blackjack now.
Yeah.
So, you know what? I'm going to say stay the course. Io Sky retains.
I think so, too. I think we're going to have, because it is a triple threat and there's no disqualifications.
Yeah, you could have Bailey and Dakota interfere.
I think that's what's going to happen here, just to throw everything off. And I really hope it does, because I'm really tired of Charlotte.
I am too. My wife would be a fan of that too. I know she doesn't like Charlotte either.
Yeah. I'm just tired of her in the title picture all the time.
Yeah.
All right. And then we have this. I don't know who it's going to be. The LWO against Lashley and the Street Profits.
Yeah. I got to believe that this is going to be Lashley and the Street Profits getting the win. But like you said, I don't know who it's going to be from the LWO.
That's how I feel. I feel like it's got to be a Lashley and the Prophet win.
Yeah.
The way they build it up, I just view that. So.
And I would love to see that launch a rivalry between Lashley and Rey Mysterio.
Exactly. For the U.S. title.
Yeah.
That would make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
The big man against the little man. So.
Yeah, I've always been a big fan of both guys. I think it would be perfect.
I think it would be too. And then the match they just announced on Monday, the Judgment Day against Jey Uso and Cody Rhodes.
The Judgment Day retains.
I gotta agree with you on that because I'm just kind of like, what else are they gonna do?
I mean, it would be a way like the tag team champions can go on any show. Like it'd be interesting to have Cody and
Jay,
Jay
go
be able to show up on SmackDown, and you could kind of push Jay Uso versus Jimmy again.
right, which I wouldn't mind if they did.
I wouldn't mind that either. Although I still like the idea of if the Judgment Day retains and they're trying to come up with the War Games, like who's going to team with them, like especially in my scenario of say like if Priest wins the world title, maybe you have him in a title match against Rollins at Survivor Series, and so he's not in War Games.
Right.
And so it's Finn, and I still think Finn's buddy, JD McDonough,
Right.
and Dominic, and then Jimmy Uso and Solo.
Right. I mean, they might not even do War Games. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah. I know I heard something that they were planning on it again, but that was a while ago.
Right.
Plans change.
Yeah, I don't know because I'm sitting here just kind of like,
It feels like it would be forced if they try to do it now.
mm-hmm.
Unless it did a 4-on-4 War Games
Right.
of Judgment Day versus, I mean, that might be the only way you get me excited about that matchup. Is if you tell me it's a War Games match.
Maybe because in NXT they did 4-on-4. So
Yeah. Well, in NXT, remember when they did the 3 versus 3 versus 3? Or you like to block that out?
You know what that reminded me of? That reminded me of that one year WCW did it where whoever got the pinfall got a shot at the champion at Halloween Havoc.
That was beyond stupid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think it was.
You had like Piper breaking up a pin with the WCW guy on top, and it's like, what are you doing? Like,
Yeah.
and then you realize, oh yeah, because it's really just like a big gauntlet match to see who's getting a world title match, and
Exactly.
that's fine, great idea. Just call it that.
Exactly. You know what? After all this talk, I'm going to switch to Cody and Jay.
Okay.
I'm going to really go outside the box here because I feel like WWE's been very, very vanilla recently.
Yes.
And I feel like they've got to switch something up. So let's see what they're going to do.
Like
now, granted,
like if you put the titles on Cody and Jay, like all of a sudden they can bounce back and forth between Raw and SmackDown.
Now, granted, this is going to blow up in my face, and you're going to get 5 points on me and retake the lead with me doing these idiot things. Yeah, because
I like the back and forth. I think this has been a lot of fun. Like good competition. Yeah,
I think so. And I'm really hoping we get a Nakamura championship reign, and I'm thinking maybe now with Triple H being more in charge of creative. I know he's a big Shinsuke fan. I think Seth has held on to this belt long enough where we have prestige to it now. And
I agree with that. Yeah.
And I really don't see a negative of having a Nakamura title run.
I don't either. I wonder if this would be like a temporary thing, like have Nakamura drop the belt back to Rollins, like maybe a Survivor Series or maybe sometime in December.
Who knows?
Because like I like the idea of you've built this whole idea of the champion rate of Seth Rollins is broken, like he's got the bad back, and like if you have this time where now all of a sudden he's knocked down and he's got to pick himself back up and fight to go after Nakamura again. Like that could be a great story to tell.
It could be. It definitely
that would be a case for you getting the main event right for you. Well, what we perceive to be the main event.
Oh no, I think the Cena LA Knight match.
Yeah.
I think that will be the main event.
Yeah, that's probably going on last, but I'll still say the Rollins Nakamura is the most important
Yeah.
of the matches.
Yeah, because the other thing is, especially with Cena and Reigns both being on NXT,
Yeah.
I think something's going to happen Saturday.
Yeah, and I think they're trying to build towards like maybe another Cena Roman Reigns match. But
Which, I mean, as long as they have Cena beat Reigns, I'd be okay with that.
yeah, and again, to me, that could set up like what's better than Roman versus Cody? Well, I think Cena versus Cody would be better.
I think so.
I mean, I think that would be a great way to then say, okay, we're still going to have Cody finish his story and win the championship at WrestleMania. We're still going to have Roman versus The Rock.
Right.
I mean, it'd be a perfect way to do it.
It would be a way to do it.
And it's like, because these are the discussions that are happening right now in the WWE war rooms. Like, those creative rooms, they're talking about, like, okay, what is our goal? Where are we going with for WrestleMania?
Right. How are we going to get there?
Right. And, this would make a lot of sense. Like, plant those seeds now.
It would make sense. So that's why it's probably not going to happen.
Well, yeah. All right. I think that's enough from us for tonight.
I would say so.
Yeah. Considering we were ready to wrap up about 15 minutes ago.
Yeah, but then we forgot.
We remembered we had to do the
prediction thing.
Fast Lane.
Yes.
All right. Anything to add before we get out of here?
No, not really.
All right. Sounds good. They don't call you the best colored man in the business for nothing.
Exactly.
All right. Have a great night, everybody, and happy wrestling.